What's up, good people? It's your girl, Safia HHIC, aka Fire, because I stay bringing that heat in that water. Yes, 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 y'all. So, I'm just here today to share a little bit of like the revelation that I have gotten over this weekend. Um, so so ever since I had like my first event back on June 22nd, I didn't necessarily get the results that I was anticipating. So I was feeling like a little bit kind of down and like a failure and just extremely tired and just like in the mindset of like, what more is it that I need to do in order to reach the level of success that I envision for myself? Because I oftentimes, when I talk to other people about like kind of like my frustration, and then people say, like, well, there's lessons that you need to learn, or there's probably more that you need to learn, or this is what you need to do to get started. But in my mind, I get frustrated because like I'm like, this isn't like the first event that I've done. This is like the I Am event series. Disability, art, life, and culture is the first like event that I envision on like a large scale, that I'm really taking risks and getting out of my comfort zone. So like when people tell me like, well, there's lessons that you need to learn, or you just getting started, and in my mind it's like, this isn't the first event that I done. I've been doing this for over like 10 years, well, 10 plus years, because this is 2022. So, and I'm just like always thinking about when it's gonna be my turn, or what is it that I'm not doing. And then over this weekend, as like I was just taking a step back and just reflecting and just being still in the moment, and I realized like it was always me, and I had to realize like my power. And even though like I've been telling like me existing is enough, and that I don't need others to validate my existence, and I really been going through that process of getting to a level of understanding my power and knowing how worthy I am. Because like a lot of things that I've been through in my past has been coming up, and I have been pushed back into a space of when I thought like I was worthless, or I didn't have a value, or people wasn't listening to me, or when people made me feel like I was a burden to them. But through this weekend, I started realizing it's not about other people. It's about how I show up in the world and in other people. When I interact with other people, it's only a reminder of how I need to fully step into my power and own my space and be unapologetic about who I am. And it just feel like the universe has really been like test me and tell me that like, since you said that you bold and unapologetic, and you existing is enough, and that you don't need other people validation, and that it had provided me with tests for me to prove it, and most of all for me to prove it to myself. and understand that it always started and ended with me. And it's all about like the energy that I'm putting out into the universe, and that I have the power to command what I want in my life, and really understand what it means when I say that I create my own reality in my universe, and really like stepping into that power. And no matter what, like what other people do or say, but who I am at the core still needs to remain, and just to create like that firm foundation. And like I kind of want to share like a story with y'all. So when like I was younger, I used to have these nightmares where it always placed me in back in the slavery era. And in those dreams, like I was running and trying to escape for freedom. And my mom used to tell me that I used to scream and cry out in the middle of the night from knee pain. But as I'm getting older and I'm starting to look back, it was because of those dreams. And when I was younger, it used to feel like I was in different time periods. Like it was like I was in like the present day, but I was also, a part of me was also still stuck in like the 1800s, when like in like my past life when like I was enslaved. And so like, and that caused me to live my life in fear, to always be cautious of what like I do. And so in and that brings me to the point that like I strongly believe in my past life that I was Harriet Tubman, because when like as like I'm learning more about her, and I see the parallels between us, because like she was 13 when she sustained a traumatic brain injury, and I was 13 when I also sustained a traumatic brain injury. And in that lifetime when I was Harriet Tubman, it was my job to free people from slavery. But in this lifetime, it's meant for me to learn how to live a comfortable and successful life while being a traumatic brain injury survivor. And and to also help free people to from mental imprisonment, um, from being stuck, or allowing their trauma to dictate how they show up in the world. And that's exactly, it took me a long time to realize that. But now that I'm in the place of self-awareness and self-knowledge, that I'm understanding that all that I've been through has prepared me for the work that I am doing now, especially with the I Am event series, Disability, Art, Life, and Culture. And it's in especially on like the app that I built, the I Am Experience app. And it's like an alternative to social media. Like, cause I understand like there are like a lot of different conversations that people are having on social media, but and a lot of times it overlap. And I've been observing and realizing that a lot of us, we don't know how to be emotionally, mentally, and spiritually mature when we are engaging in conversations regarding mental health, and just tough conversations when we all don't agree. And just like I want to, and through this app, I want to help cultivate like conversations where we are becoming more mentally, spiritually, and emotionally mature while having tough conversation and knowing that it's okay for us to disagree with one another, and that's needed because we all are different, and our differences is what makes the world go round, and it makes life so interesting. And like I'm just like open. And then so that's one part of like the app, and about creating like alternative space to social media. But it's mostly about engineering a digital healing sanctuary that's inclusive and accessible for all people. Because like I can say one thing, a good thing that came out of the pandemic is that a lot of things had came to light, and people are starting to realize and starting to have conversations about what is inclusion and accessibility. And I have been seeing a lot of great things of what Black people with disability are accomplishing, and just the shift is that's going on, and that for a lot of dope Black people with disability are getting the recognition that they well deserve. And just to be doing this work and creating like, because like I'm also a part of the I Am event series, is that I am co-creating a disability resource guide, and it's created from the lens of, from the voice of Black people with disabilities. Because as a Black person with a disability, I experience like ableism from my community within the Black community, because disability is still a taboo topic, and it goes all the way back to slavery times, when like the when people was free from slavery, and the fact that people with disabilities or mental impairment couldn't leave the plantations, and was still in some regard was still enslaved. And just talking about blind Tom Wiggins, who was also autism, who also had autism, and who was a piano prodigy, but he wasn't able to receive any monetary compensation from his talents or gift, because of the white people who own him received all that. And then just going back to the disability community, and how Black people are erased and pushed to the side in a lot of great things. Because when we thinking about the ADA laws, and Black people, all the great work that Black people done is erased. And this is exactly why I am doing the I Am event series, Disability, Art, Life, and Culture, is to help document what is disability, art, life, and culture, but making sure that the Black disabled voice is heard loud and clear. Because I know for me, like, I'm not willing to fight or argue with nobody about who I am or my value in life, because I know that I am worthy, and everything that I need is already in me. And in the past, I allowed people to walk over me and treat me any type of way. And I'm putting an end to that and showing up boldly and showing other BIPOC people with disability how to be unapologetically and take up space, and how to use their talents and skills and creativity to create opportunities for themselves. Because there are a lot of things that limit BIPOC people with disability from living a comfortable and successful life, and that live us living in poverty. And we can no longer wait for other people to hand us things, because as we can see, we living in a society that's not accessible, that treat us as a burden, and that throw us to the wayside. So that's a whole part of creating engineering that digital, inclusive, and accessible society for all. And just where, and it's also a space where we can unlearn self stagnation and start becoming self full, where we understand it all start and end with us. And what other people say or do with us doesn't take away from who we are at the core. And just bringing in the idea, what I've been learning, and my motto is that I'm learning to be me, to be my authentic self before society told me who I wasn't and who I can't be. And then the last point is just building knowledge within community. Because, like, my goal is to not be like a savior for all, but just to be that example, to be that force, that, or that example that shows other people that you are enough, and that you are the captain of your fate and soul, and just helping people understanding their power. So yeah, so that's like the overview of like all like the information, the insights that I have been gaining this weekend, and that I am so excited for the position that I am in. And And even though things with the first event didn't happen how I wanted to, but it created a firm foundation for me to build off of, for me to continue to grow and thrive. So, yes, because I am Safia Jasi, aka Fire, because I stay bringing that heat in that order. And I just want to thank you all for joining me on this journey. And I just want to remind you to be kind and gentle to yourself, as I'm continuing to be more kind and gentle to myself. Peace out, beautiful people.